additional voice services. Could you talk a little bit more on that?
Yeah, I think from our point of view, there has to be an understanding of what OTTs are, especially to the lay person, and also for the regulators and the stakeholders, the policymakers, the players in the field. And we see three distinctive categories of OTTs. As I mentioned in the presentation, you've got OTTs that deal mainly on messaging and voice, which is, of course, one of the biggest contentious issues that everybody has complained about, revenues going down for operators, because applications that are doing voice and messaging are taking that particular part of the revenue. Then we look at OTTs that are mainly non-real-time, meaning you can actually have an application ecosystem that provides you specific services. And we've seen cases like, for example, storage facilities like Dropbox, iCloud, Amazon. These are facilities that are created to give you that non-real-time facility, but still compete at par on some of the services that are offered out there. And then we have the third category, which is normally the TV, video streaming, and the likes, whereby you can stream your videos, you can stream your information online. And I think those distinctive categories create what we call the OTT family or applications. And it's important that we understand those distinctions and then see how they apply to some of our daily lives and where they cause a lot of contention in terms of competition with traditional services.
Okay, thank you very much for that explanation. But I think that for the ordinary consumer, the consumer is concerned with the first category, that's the voice service. The consumer really wants to have a service that he pays minimum fees for, and that is what the contention is between the traditional voice service operators and these OTT services. How are we going to be able to satisfy the consumer and satisfy the operator at the same time?
That is an interesting question because it is not easy to actually satisfy both parties exclusively. And the way we look at this is, for example, many of the traditional telcos, they were seeing and they keep seeing that the number of handsets and the number of SIM cards that are being bought is going higher. However, the revenues that are coming in through things like, for example, the voice, the SMS, traditional channels of revenues are not going up, despite the fact that this is increasing. So we know that the other services, which of course are OTTs for this case, could be slicing off part of that. But that's one argument.
Yeah.
The other argument is to realize that the OTT services use data. And therefore, there could be an argument out there that says, is it the regulators, or no, is it the operators who are not innovative enough to create even their own OTTs that could be bought by the same users? So I think when you slice these arguments, you come to the conclusion that the CTO has taken of saying, let's have a conversation, let's have a study that understands the issues so that we can build the foundations of creating the way forward. In our thinking at the moment, and this is very early stages, there is no one size fits all. There'll have to be some exclusivity, there'll have to be some compromise, but in actual sense, it has to be based on the user, because those are the people that we are answerable to.
Okay, what about the argument that since the consumer is paying for data, in a way the consumer has paid the traditional operator for some aspects of the OTT service?
So I think then we can raise the bar and say, okay, there is a contract or an agreement for service delivery between the consumer and the operator. There is also an agreement that could be taken further of who is passing through the operator's network. And of course, it brings the issue of the net neutrality and the issue of not controlling anybody. So I think the way we look at this is that it has to be opened up. And therefore, there are issues, for example, to do with the sustainable development agenda, whereby it has to be based on ethical way of doing businesses across the globe. And if we are to look at those, then it means this particular argument or this particular agenda should be opened up. But we believe that the more informed people are, especially at each level, the better for actually the consumer for the first instance. But we still come back to the point that there has to be a way that regulators, or rather the operators themselves, should innovate in a way, how they actually provide services to the consumer without necessarily jeopardizing their profit margins and also limiting the freedom of access to specific services by the consumer.
Okay, I'm sure that's a discussion that people are going to find very interesting, and that's why NCA has this symposium to talk about some of these things. Lastly, can we talk about the sticky effects of OTTs? You mentioned that in your presentation, saying that OTTs are sticky for consumers. Could you just explain this for our listeners and our viewers to understand?
Yeah, it was a very a coined word, but the way I was looking at it was that there is a sticky effect, and many of the services that are what we call addictive services or addictive applications, they provide that stickiness. They make you sure that you come back. And what I meant by that was that when you look at things, for example, like compatibility, OTT services can run on any device, for example. So therefore, it is attractive for somebody who is mobile, for somebody who has another service in another location. It can take advantage of that. When you look at the issue of cloud infrastructure, the cloud infrastructure actually facilitates the way OTTs work. So that means I don't have to have my data on my device. I can access my data on a remote location using any other device so long as I can authenticate to it. Then when you go again and look at the issues of the type of devices or the type of platforms you can run OTT applications, and then there's a wide range of platforms. So for example, you can be an OS platform or an iOS platform. It could be a Symbian platform. It could be any other platform. It could be a Linux platform. These OTTs will still run in those services. So I think the sticky effect comes to that. And the most key one is that it's free.
Yes, Dr. Jamieson also mentioned in his presentation the concept of convergent technologies.
That's right.
Would you agree that that is related to the sticky effect or sticky nature of OTT services?
Yeah, I think there is some relationship, but again, you can take it off in a different tangent. One area would be the convergence of having even the type of, let's say, formats that are being used. So you find, so long as you have a video in a specific format, you can read it in any device. And then there's also the convergence in terms of the infrastructure itself. So by using, let's say, cloud computing, you're actually converging all the information, putting it in a specific repository, and being able to actually attract it. But also there's a convergence in the sense of when you have these communication platforms using IP platform, then it's much, much easier to roll them out. So you don't have the baggage of having a legacy platform, which you might not know exactly how to interface with it, because everything is IP based. So that means you can roll it out on any device that understands IP. Now think about it. We are talking about Internet of Things. We are talking about having devices, multiple devices everywhere. And I think this is where that attractiveness comes in.
Yeah.
And therefore the OTT aspects or even the issues of Internet of Things, the way we've been discussing, the big data issues, they really fit very well with the agenda of the OTTs the way they are.
Okay. Well, converging technologies, sticky effects, imbalance between OTT services and traditional voice. This has been a very interesting session. Thank you so much for talking to us.
And thank you very much for having me to your program.
Right.
Thank you so much. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Wow! As you can see, it's on. Ghana goes digital.
This is brought to you by Ministry of Communications, Digital Broadcasting Migration Committee, and National Communications Authority.
I don't know about you, but I am so excited about this. Now, what is Digital Ghana? Well, even before I started, it is important to know that Ghana is complying with an order from the ITU that the whole world should switch to digital television. Ghana is simply complying with the rest of the world in this migration. Now, what does this mean? It means a change in broadcast technology. We're moving from the old-fashioned and outdated analog system to the more dynamic and efficient digital broadcasting. The digital technology is changing the face of television with great new benefits. 1. Viewers will have more stations to choose from. 2. All broadcasters will have nationwide coverage. 3. There will be more employment opportunities for producers and content developers as television stations increase rapidly. 4. The role of quality content will become more vital. 5. Even the mobile phone companies can take advantage of the XX spectrum to add value to their internet and other services. 6. On top of all that, digital television offers better picture and sound quality and overall sharper definition. Now the fact is that the analog system is outdated and cannot keep up with the new developments and trends in the television and communications industry. Digital broadcasting is an exciting experience that will change the face of television, and we should all look forward to it. One main question that many people will ask is what happens to our current television sets while we finally switch to digital? Do we get rid of it? Absolutely not. For your information, there are already television sets in the system that are already integrated for digital transmission. Anyone with a digital TV set is already enjoying 20 free-to-air channels that are already transmitting digitally. But for those whose sets are not integrated, you will eventually have to buy a set-top box. Now, the set-top box is a decoder that will convert the digital signal to a format that your analog TV set can receive. Finally, there is this myth that all flat-screen TV sets are digital. They are not. It is not true. Many of them are still analog. Now be careful. As the whole world migrates to digital technology, the analog sets will become electronic waste. Now many manufacturers will be looking for markets to dump their waste. Don't be a victim. From now on, make sure that every television set you buy has this sticker. Now this means that the set is certified by the NCA and a genuine digital TV set. The change is coming. It is not optional. Let us get ready for this great television experience. My name is Ajete Anand. I am ready. I hope you are.
Digitime in Ghana.
It's digital. We are going digital.